Thank you for being with me. Anyway, you're trapped because they locked the door, so no other choice. Okay, this presentation is in two parts. The first part, I'm going to give you a sneak peek, and this is a first in the world, on something that I'm very proud of. This is a new syllabus that we are designing for both business analysts and testers. It is done under IQBBA at the moment and will be presented to ISTQB by the end of the month. And if ISTQB says yes, then it will be both communities adopting the syllabus. Okay? And the second part is what I promised in the introduction, which is getting social and having some workshop tools so as to try to solve a couple of problems that we currently have as business analysts or as testers, mainly. Just for my understanding, how many of you here are doing testing one way or the other during their project? Can you raise your hand? Okay, that's what I thought of. So we estimated about 60% of business analysts. I suppose that you are a business analyst because this is a BA conference. We estimated about 60% of business analysts are somewhat doing testing one way or the other, okay? And, well, we'll come to that. Wow. Yeah, that's just a message. Please turn your cell phones off, if not yet done. As you've seen on the message, the intention of the syllabus I'm going to talk in the first part is to bridge the gap between two communities, and two communities that are represented here. You have the testers, and all the testers have a mustache. If you don't know that, now you know, I'm a tester. And business analysts are pretty women. No? Well, okay, anyway, stop with the cliche. This is just to figure out that we have two communities. And two communities that are working together and are forced sometimes to work together and sometimes are forced to do the other part's job. 60% of the people here, that's about the figure I announced, and yeah, it verifies when I ask the questions, are doing testing. How many of you have taken a testing course before? 1, 2, 3. Wow. Okay, so you're doing testing, but you've not been trained to testing, right? And as a tester, we are sometimes doing business analysis because we're working with requirements, test requirements, these kind of things. And guess what? We're not trained in BA either, okay? So we have some kind of way of working together or doing each other's job one way or the other sometimes, but we don't really understand each other because we're not trained in understanding each other's and using each other's techniques and tools, right? So it's not going to be easy. And this is, of course, the reason why we worked with a couple of colleagues from the business analyst communities and from the testing communities in trying to bridge the gap and bringing something that is making each community understand each other's, okay? So, business analysts are involved in testing, but not trained. This is what you confirm. And you have, one way or the other, to collaborate from time to time with testers. And testers are involved in testing one's business. They have to understand one's business, because, by the way, we're not testing IT for the sake of testing IT. And we're not designing IT for the sake of designing IT. We're just doing it because someone pays the bill in the end of the month, which is the sponsor, which is the business. This is why we develop software. This is why we provide quality software, right? So the aim of the game is to get this collaboration better. Okay, what's in it for you? So, a couple of notions. You have goals. We have a fundamental test process as testers. There are gathering techniques. We also have tools and techniques on the testing side. You validate requirements, and we do the same because we need to test. In the end of the day, we have to test that the software that is delivered is something that fits or matches with the business needs. Okay, so we need to deliver something that is useful, that is delivering the objective. So all in all, how can we make sure that we understand each other? How can we make sure that we have the necessary tools on each side to work more efficient? Okay. So let's go. The first thing that we have to bring is to bring a common language, because it's the Babel Tower. We have to understand each other. We have to understand what we call a requirement, what we call a technique, what we call a tool. We have to get a grip, okay? So to get a grip, we have different tools like BPMN, like DMN, that we can use as a subset, okay? So that we create a common language, something that we can understand. Who was in St. Petersburg 2 years ago and attended my conference? I had a conference on what is called test requirements hierarchy. And the whole secret about test requirement hierarchy is to grab what the business is asking, put it in a structure, and pilot your tests with regards to that structure, with the help of that structure, okay? So that is moving towards BA and understand what you guys defined as the business needs, the requirements, the goals, whatever, and making sure that in the end of the day, we test according to that, and we deliver the piece of software that is exactly what you designed. Okay? So this is a step forward. The aim of the game, or the name of the game here in this syllabus, is to have something that works with regards to acceptance testing. So that's the very last step, okay? And giving to both communities good practices and recommendation. Okay. Understand each other, well, that's sharing the language for sure, but also formalizing the language in the right way. That's about requirements, that's about acceptance criteria, and it's about test cases. So those who attended this TRH session, it's just starting from the requirements, which is the BA side, putting those into acceptance criteria and building the right test cases. Isn't it what you're doing when you're doing testing? That's about decomposing requirements, having good principles to structure and decompose requirements. That's about shifting left. Okay? Everyone understands what shifting left means? Getting testing as early as possible, moving towards the BA side. Even before the code is designed, we can get a grip, we can have a view on what is going on. We can understand what the software is all about, and we can work together on that one. Okay? That is shifting left. Now there are other people that are advocating today to shift right and say, we want to go agile, we want to have continuous delivery, and we don't care about quality because we are so fast that we can get the software out of production, fix, and release all over again in 10 minutes. Okay? I don't really like that approach, but for one reason. And that reason is understand the user. And this is the only reason why I would shift right a little bit as well. But this is another story, not for now. Okay? So shifting left, having good criteria for requirements, user stories, epics, whatever, to your liking, depending on what you work on. Okay? It's not because you have criteria that you have tests. Do you understand that? You have criteria, but these criteria are not always testable, are not always transformed into something that is testable. And this is also part of the syllabus. Okay? This is how we can eventually not understand each other's. This is IT stuff. They had eggs. And because they had eggs, well, 6 buttons. Designing principles for acceptance testing. It's about, again, using language. We propose gherkin, if you like gherkins. Yeah, pickles, that's great. No, you don't like gherkin? Ah. You rebrand, no problem. Exploratory testing. Anyone does that? What is exploratory testing towards you? Yep, tell me, you're doing? Okay, so that's a little bit discovering the software, and that's a little bit trying to find some common defects, some patterns that are not working fine, okay? We will explain this in the syllabus as well, and in the courses. And that's about beta testing, so getting to the users. Non-functional requirements. This is very, very important to me at this moment in time, because I do believe that non-functional requirements will become of utmost importance in the near future. Even more than what it is today, because today what we say is non-functional requirements, if there is a budget, if there is time remaining, we'll do. Okay? At this moment in time, it's still not okay. And in the future, it won't even be okay at all. Why? Because our society, our way of doing business is changing, completely changing. The paradigm is completely changed. In the past, 10 years, 20 years ago, IT was developing software, and it was by ITers for ITers. Everyone could use that software, everyone could crawl into the software and go into the technique. And in most conferences today, I see a lot of technical talks. There's nothing wrong about technical talks, I like them, but that's not all. There's more to that. And why is there more to that? Because today, what we're doing is selling our software product in every kind of object we can think of. There's software everywhere. There will be software in your fridge. There will be software in your car. There's already software in your car. There will be software everywhere. But that software will be designed by ITers for everyone, not for ITers anymore. And not everyone is willing to become an ITer. Not everyone is willing to understand and get a grip on how the software works. They don't care. If you're thinking about your hairdresser, somebody who is, gardening, somebody who is just doing his own business or her own business, they don't care how software works. They just want to use that. They just want to go on Facebook and publish their nice pictures. They just use it, okay? And you have to design for these people who don't understand, and even worse, don't want to understand what the software is all about. And this is all about non-functional requirements. Non-functional requirements, that's ISO 2510, right? And we will focus on these ones, especially on these ones, okay? Because we can't take them all. Business, that's about users. We do design software to sell to someone. We do design software for our users, whatever user means. It can be your hairdresser, it can be the bank, it can be whatever, but these are users. Okay? So we have to have measurable, business-oriented, non-functional testing. And it means user experience. I want to have user experience. I've just been offered a wonderful game console, and you didn't know, but I'm a gamer. I love playing with games. Yeah, I'm 50, I know I'm still a big child, okay, thank you very much for your appreciation, but I'm still a gamer, okay? And very recently I played with a game, and there was a very, very difficult track to crawl, okay? And at a certain moment in time I have a nice door, and it said cupboard. And cupboard is the escape room, okay? I just stopped the experience because it's too dangerous. I'm too sissy, I don't want to go, okay? I open the door and I just see the exit, okay? Because I'm curious, I open the door, I see the exit. And then I got a nice command telling me, leave, stay. What do? Leave or stay? Leave or stay what? You know what, I just say leave, and I exit through the coward's room. But this was not my intention. My intention was, I opened the door, and no, I don't want to go that part. I want to leave, and I want to come back. And there was no chance for me to come back. So I crawled the whole path. I learned it the hard way, and I just ended up, hey, you're a coward. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. This is user experience. I was frustrated. Okay? I can give you hundreds of examples where pieces of software that I use every day frustrate me. Okay? We, business analysts, have to think about that, have to integrate users, and this is why I was talking about shifting right and also shifting left. We have to have our users in mind. We have to check if these users understand what we mean, so that they can't be frustrated in the end. Okay? And again, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I would have told you, because IT was done by ITers for ITers, you can substitute to users. Today I will tell you exactly the contrary. I'm not a hairdresser. I'm not a land mower. I'm not a gardener. I don't know. I don't know. So check with the users. And be aware that business owners or product owners are not always users. People think what their user would like, and that's okay, but sometimes, no, this is not what I would like. Let me give you a small example. LinkedIn. Dropbox. I'll skip LinkedIn for now. Dropbox, they just changed the way the display was done. So in the past, I had this very nice structure with all my folders and all my files, whatever. Okay? This was the way I used to work. And today, Dropbox just added some kind of landing page before, and these are the files that you use very recently. And I have to skip that one so that I come to my structure all over again. Why the hell? This for something? No. I'm not happy with that. I want to have my structure. You know, I have my drawers, and I like to have this kind of very, very structured kind of work. I don't want to jump on the file that I just recently used, because it could be that I'm working on something totally different today, right? So as a user, I'm frustrated. Of course, I'm not all Dropbox users, so it might be that the vast majority likes the new settings. But when you read a little bit about LinkedIn now or about Facebook, when they change something, loads of people are frustrated. Give them a choice. And it goes for every kind of software, every piece of software that you design. Give them a choice. Think about them. That's user experience. Performance. Performance is also something that is entering now more and more. 10 years ago, nobody was talking about performance because performance was expensive. It still is expensive. Less, but still. But nobody cared, because we were designing kind of, you know, heavy client and these kind of things, so that was okay. Now today, we're delivering a lot, software as a service, web kind of things, with loads of users. So performance becomes of utmost importance. And what is in the syllabus is the different kind of scenarios, because performance is not just clicking a button, simulating some kind of load, and measuring the response time. You have different scenarios. You have memory leaks. You have kind of peak times that you have to measure, and so on and so forth. So you have different patterns. You have different scenarios. Who heard about these scenarios? Who heard about these patterns right now? Do you know that? Who knows about performance testing decently? Okay, it's already something. Good. Then you'll know more. And of course, well, today you cannot avoid that, security. Security is of utmost importance today. Have you heard about this new Bluetooth stuff? The Bluetooth bug? You don't even need to pair the device. You don't even need to say yes or no. It's gone. It's there. And guess what? I have a mouse that is working with Bluetooth. I have a soundbar that is working with Bluetooth. My phones are working with Bluetooth. How the hell is it so difficult to pair my phone with my car device when these guys can just put anything they want on my phone? Me being unaware? Okay. Now we will come to the second part of this presentation, which is about collaboration. We thought that one of the most important parts in software development, and this is my credo, so this is why I'm doing these kind of conferences and more of these kind of conferences. That's about us, that's about users, that's about people, right? Because IT is done by people. It's not done by technique, it's not done by languages. These are tools. But people have to collaborate, people have to understand each other, and we're all different. That's why I'm talking about psychology, that's why I'm talking about neurosciences, that's why I'm talking about collaboration. That's about social and communication skills. But also, when it comes to technique, that's about defect reporting and triage. Do you know what triage is? Okay, you have to sort them out. It comes from the big accident when you have a plane crash or a big car crash on the highway. At a certain moment in time, the safety services cannot deal with everything and everyone, and they have to sort. They have to decide who needs help, who doesn't need help, and who will eventually die because they can't cope with that. That's about triage. It's coming from war, First World War. Terrible notion, but it comes to the same with defect. If you have a whole bunch of defect at a certain moment in time, you can't cope with them all. So you have to decide which is going to live and which is going to die. That's about reporting to stakeholders. Oh, we have stakeholders. Oh, wonderful, yeah. And we have reporting. Oh, yeah. You know, all these meetings. Yeah, love them. And the whoosh sounds and so on and so forth. And that's about QA, of course. And it's about tooling. Tooling is a help. It's not a goal. It's a mean, right? So I hear a lot in conferences, and I have this wonderful tool. And you have these DevOps guys, and they're coming with a whole constellation of tools. I love it, okay, that's fine, it supports the process, but what sort of process do you have behind that? Because I can give you 10 different tools tomorrow, or 100 different tools tomorrow, because it's evolving fast and it's changing all the time, but still you won't have a process, and still you won't make them work all together, right? So that's about processes, that's about people, again. How do we work? That syllabus that I'm talking about, that was what it's all about. It's coming next year, right? So it's ready now, but still needs a couple of QA, still needs a couple of review, and it's coming next year. Through IQBBA channel and possibly ISTQB channel if they want to go for it. Okay? Just for you being aware. So that was the advertising part. Now let's do workshop. Why do we want to do workshop, by the way? Because everything is going fine in our companies, right? It's heaven on earth. Have we got problems? Are we stressed? No, never. Okay? Well, again, the job is done by people. Okay? What I want, this is my goal personally, is to give the role back to them. We can socialize before, during, after work, do whatever you like, but what we have to understand is that the society and mentality evolve. If you see young people today, I'm not among the young people anymore, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, I don't mind. No regret, no remorse. But when I see young people, they do not behave like I do. They don't have the same kind of approach in life, and they don't have the same kind of approach at work, which is fine. I have no problem with that, but I have to adapt. When we're talking about new methods like agility, like DevOps, continuous integration, whatever, just name your brand, I don't mind. Okay, Scrum, Kanban, whatever kind of Japanese word you like, sushi, sashi, no, that's not, sorry. Okay, they introduce changes. They introduce changes in the way of working, they introduce changes in the expectation, and we have to cope with these changes, right? We have meetings. That's wonderful. In some companies I worked with years ago, I could come at 8 o'clock in the morning or even before and jump into the first meeting of the day and end my day at 6 p.m. without touching my desk. Meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and did not write a single word. But ate fine. It was good coffee. Okay? Now we have to change a little bit the way we meet, and we have to change a little bit the way we interact with each other so as to understand each other better. Okay? That's bringing more ideas, different ideas, that's bringing innovation. That's part of the BA. Innovation is part of your job. Okay? Making more sense. You know, that's the agility motto. Put value at the center. Well, I would say, if I'm a little bit, how to say that, cynical, that 20 years ago we did not build more shit than what we do today, but whatever. Agility says put value in the center. That's fine. I love that. I love the concept. I love the idea. Okay? So that's about these kind of buzzwords. And these are not only buzzwords, by the way. This is what we need to innovate. That's what we need to progress. That's differences, disruptive thinking, out of the box. Bingo. No, not bingo, but still, we need to stimulate these kind of things so as to move. Okay? That's about validating strategic choices, having support, having engagement, having performance. Okay? This is fine for a management meeting, but still there are people behind, and still people are people, and they need to cope with each other. Another couple of goals or buzzwords. Okay? We need to communicate, and what I would like to tell you in a minute is how we can improve the open communication. Okay? Because we have things to say, but sometimes it's very difficult for us to say because we're not given the choice. We're not given the possibility to say bad things sometimes. Okay? I will show you a way to capture these bad things and capture this dark zone, because, you know, it might be that, you know, I'm dressed like hell today and you don't like my, well, tie or whatever, but you don't dare to say. Okay? If I just ask you openly, maybe you'll say it in a nice way, but if I just put it on the table, say, what do you think about this tie not being mine? Just, you know, you might say, oh, it's ugly. Okay, thank you very much. Now I know that. Well, it's not ugly. By the way, this is my tie and I love it. Well, never mind. So that's allowing these kind of moments. And I will show you ways to do that in kind of workshops. Okay? That's integrating perception. You know, in business, perception is key, because perception is as real and even realer than real. If I perceive that this is ugly, it is ugly. At least it is ugly to me, so I won't buy it. You see what I mean? So perception is very important, and perception needs to be captured, needs to be gathered. And it's this difficult because we are human beings, so we don't want to be, you know, rude, or we don't want to tell things directly, because if you're too direct, then yeah, you look rude or you look harsh or whatever, so you don't do that. Okay? That's about using humor, that's about creativity, that's about coherence. Okay, enough buzzwords, let's go to the show. How can you stimulate open communication? So open communication, that's about telling bad things if they need to be told. How many of you know the expression in English, catch the peanut? That's really telling bad things if you want to tell them. Okay, that's what it means, catch the peanut. That's why I put dynamite. Okay, the principle of this workshop. This is something that you will organize within a workshop with your collaborators, with stakeholders, whatever. Everyone will write 2 or 3 peanuts, so bad things. That is what preoccupies me, what worries me about the project, about the functionality, about business positioning, about whatever you like, okay? You just write it down. And you post them on the wall. Agility, all these post-it. I think that agility is a kind of 3M kind of product, you know, these post-it stuff, they sponsor, definitely. Okay, let's do the same. Okay, put post-it. Now the big thing is that it is written, but it is not read by the people who wrote them. So actually, I'm telling you that I don't like your tie. But I'm not going to tell you straight in the face. I'm just going to post it, and somebody else will take the post-it and say, somebody doesn't like your tie. You see? It is totally different because you depersonalize. You don't have this direct relationship. You don't have this big commotion of having to say it straight to the people. And you even use some kind of very diplomatic way, like, I'm worried about the color of your tie, or I'm worried about the brand of your tie, or the look of your tie. You see? And then it is open for discussion, and we can discuss in a group. And it might be that, because you're tasteful people, 99% of the audience likes my tie. Wonderful. Okay, you're wrong. You just have shitty taste. Or it might be that this is totally the opposite, and then I should change the brand. All right? This is something that needs to be moderated. So each and every workshop that I'm giving you needs a moderator, needs interaction. And moderation is key. So we have to make sure that passion and anger and these kind of things don't come into the meeting. Okay? So that's a matter of respect. If it becomes too emotional, we use exactly the same as for requirements. If we don't agree, we just park. Let's give a little bit more time. Let time to time. Okay? Again, like any kind of perception, any kind of taste, any kind of emotion, peanuts are not people. It's not because I don't like your tie that I don't like you. Of course you like me, I know that. Okay. You also have to allocate a limited time per peanut. Okay? So let's not discuss the whole day about my damn tie. Let's discuss about my trousers or shoes or whatever. Okay? And of course, you have to allow priorities. So the group decides what is most important or not. Shall we discuss about shoes or shall we discuss about ties? Okay? This one is easy. You don't need a lot. You just need a wall. You just need pens and post-it. Okay? You can manage this in 90 minutes to 120 minutes, something like that. Okay? If the moderator is neutral, it's even better, because you're not part of the game. Remember, not everything needs to be tackled. That's not because you have 10,000 peanuts on the wall that you have to deal with 10,000 peanuts. Just prioritize and pick the important ones. Okay? Eye on the timing, sorry, and make sure people are not the peanuts. So somebody else is reading the peanut that is written by someone else, right? It can go to 8 to 12 people. So that's a normal meeting, okay? Let's have another approach. This is also something that is quite important in the project because you have a lot of perception. So peanuts, that's about telling the bad news. That's about telling worries, okay? But you have something else in companies. You have something else at work that is also destroying projects. That is this kind of rumors, this kind of perception, right or not, okay? And this workshop is designed to get news and fake news. Well, you know, news and fake news and Donald Trump, whatever, okay? The aim of the game is about the same. So again, I just invested in Post-it, you know, I just have some stock now, yeah, some shares. Everyone writes 3 to 5 news. These are things that you want to communicate about you, about your project, about your organization, about whatever, okay? Your team, whatever. These are real stuff. And you also write 3 or 5 fake news. And fake will be on one color, and real news will be on another one, okay? And you put that on the wall. And then the moderator, and you will see that eventually the moderator is independent of the game. That should be better. If not, okay, somebody will be as neutral as possible. You pick some, and you start discussing. And the name of the game here is to make sure that what is unclear or what is perceived as wrong is now understood by the group. That's why we discuss. That's why we have this put in front. Okay. And they decide which one are real news, which one are fake news, by the way. And they decide, they put this, you can even communicate this openly to the company. Fake news, Olivier Denoo is wearing silly ties. You put it on the wall. And everyone passing by can see that this is fake news. These are brilliant ties. You see? Again, emotion needs to be tackled. And again, time limitation. But this is something we master as BAs. We know how to limit time because we don't have the time to discuss forever and ever after about one requirement. So we don't have the time to discuss forever and ever after about one news or fake news. Okay? Again, material is quite easy and you can customize it to your liking. Okay? Normal meeting again, a little bit more difficult than the previous one. Needs moderation. You can start the game by giving them news and fake news, if you are the moderator. So you give them examples and you start the game, you initiate the game. Okay, that helps. The difficulty here is in the discrimination phase, what is real, what is not real, because it might be that one team, I've seen projects in my consultancy job in the past, I've seen projects where it was absolutely terrible because one team was thinking that what the other team was doing wrong or were doing things that they didn't do at all, and these guys were responsible for things that they weren't responsible per se, and so on and so forth. So this is the way to put things together and make the unclarity clear, if you get me. Okay? It helps streamlining. And I've seen real disasters when teams believed that the other one was totally incompetent or not doing their job while it was actually not their job, and these kind of things. So you had these kind of perception that completely destroyed the dynamic within the organization. And this is to help in there. Of course, you cannot avoid politics and propaganda because you have teams that want to show up or people that want to show up, and you have to deal with that as well. Okay, so let's not be naive either. This one is also important to see the motivation within your team. It can be that at a certain moment in time you have bad moments within your project. Okay? And you have to understand how people feel about the project at a time and why they feel like that. Okay? But it's difficult to go to the people one by one and say, how do you feel about a project, and so on and so forth, because it looks a little bit like Big Brother is watching you, or I don't want to tell you. So you create this kind of frame or structure where people can express themselves. Okay? And this Moody Woodpecker is quite funny because they will choose a character on a big. I'll display the whole tree in a couple of seconds. You have a big tree with two men, and these two men are expressing things. I will just show it in a couple of seconds, but first I explain the principle. And everyone puts and affixes a little sticker, and this is how I feel. This is the two men that is representing my mood or my status at a time, at a moment. Okay? That can be as wide as a company, that can be as small as a project, or a certain phase of the project. Okay? It can be that this is a rough phase and everyone is demotivated. It can be that this is a hippie hooray phase and everyone feels high. Okay? But this is kind of barometer, this is kind of metrics where you can see where people fit. And in turns, people, then they do explain their own situation, they explain their choice, and eventually how things might change and improve. We'll see other things, other kind of workshops to approach changes. Okay? Now, what is very important with that one, and with a couple of other ones I will tell you, if you get that sort of information, you have to do something with that. You cannot create expectations where people will see the change and tell you, well, I would feel better if, and you do nothing about that. Okay? You can initiate the game as well. You can initiate the game by playing alone. At this moment in time, I would put a sticker on, I'm happy to be here with you, or I'm super stressed because I'm giving this presentation, or I don't know, I'm thirsty, so I need a little bit of water, thank you very much. These kind of things, okay? Look at the tree now. No, where is it? Okay, material, blah, 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 so that's just stickers. By the way, you can use a overhead projector, or you can just print out as you wish. This is what the tree looks like. Okay? You have loads of them. You can invent your own if you wish to. Okay? And you have all kind of approaches as you wish. It can be, I want to collaborate. It can be, I'm feeling like a prize winner. It can be, I help my friends climbing. It can be, I want to sabotage the whole damn stuff because it's never going to work. It can be, I'm just watching silently, whatever. Okay? So these are things that you can use to understand and envision how people are feeling within your project, within whatever. Okay. Now, let's see how we can understand each other. The aim of the game here, on this kind of workshop, is to make sure that people get a grip on each other, understand how they work. And I have two examples here. Okay. This one is a difficult one, and it's a heavy to organize, because you need either a comedian or you need to be a comedian on your own. So having some kind of practice in comedy. Okay. What you will ask people is to play some roles, and you will give them examples, and they will do some kind of role play. And because they do the role play in front of the team, they will understand each other. You will see how they react, you will see how they feel, you will see how they work, and it will help break the ice. That's exactly the kind of stuff that is done at a different scale when you're doing these kind of team events. You know, we are all running together in the mud and reaching the objective all together. That's group interaction. Okay. Aim of the game, communicating with each other, listening to each other, get to know each other in a totally different context. So again, all these kind of workshops are kind of independent of the real context situation, and it's good because it removes the passion. Okay. That's also helping people getting more confident and bringing some coherence in the group. You can help people in acting techniques, or you can improvise. I personally, when I got some management packages years ago, I got this. And as a manager, I was trained to tell the bad news to people. And there was this seminar, and I had an actor, and they told me, okay, you do this, and you let silence go, and then you tell the people the bad news, and then you react, whatever, okay? This was a trick. And I was monitored by that guy, that actor, and he helped me. And he said, yeah, look, your corporal expression is a little bit different. Your nonverbal communication is telling me that. You seem happy when you're telling me that this is a bad news. So you mock at me or what? Well, these kind of things, these kind of errors. And then you can monitor and you can help people. Okay? This is why it is difficult. So either you are a comedian on your own, or you have a junior comedian trained for the job. And you for sure make sure that everyone participates. This is very key. So it can't be that you have a meeting with 10 people and only 5 of them are participating. Everyone has to go and sweat and act and perform. By the way, there's no winners or losers. Okay? Why do I put chairs? Because one of the examples I give is about chairs and emotions. You put 3, 4, 5 chairs, you put an emotion on there, and you ask people to play the emotion. I'm happy. Oh, super, I'm happy. Hello, it's great to be in Minsk. I'm sad. Well, I'm giving this boring presentation. There's nobody in the room. It's terrible. Or, you know, these kind of things. And you ask people to do that, and then you help them. You judge. Judge. It's not a good word. It's you help them and you tell them how you feel about what they say. Okay? It's terrible. This is the one I was talking about. Okay? That is a solo plus actor, and people are trained how to announce bad news. Do we announce bad news, by the way? All the time. We have to announce bad news all the time. It's not going to be shipped in time. The quality is terrible. This functionality will need to drop. Are these bad news? Yes. How do we announce bad news? I just send a mail and rush. I just go to the people one by one. I just say it in the middle of the meeting where nobody expects. How do you say that? Okay. Improvising. You just drop a topic with several people and they need to improvise. Very interesting to see how people react with that one. Example, oh, I found a bug. That's it. Say something about this. It's your bug, not mine. Wonderful. If you want a big dispute, that's wonderful. What a boring meeting. No, we never have boring meetings. Doesn't exist. Once in my life, I had a terrible news to announce. I was in the army, military duty, and one of my colleagues had some kind of dubious hygiene, meaning he never washed, meaning he was stinking, meaning it was disturbing the whole room. And we had to tell that guy, well, I'm sorry, but why don't you take a shower now? Terrible news, isn't it? How do you announce that? Let's Dance is also a nice one. That's for after parties and these kind of things, okay? One is leading the game. And dancing, oh, by the way, dancing doesn't mean that you will dance. It just means that you will perform something. If I say dancing is this, everyone will mimic me and will do that, okay? I will lead, this is dancing. If you say dancing is that, dancing is that, okay? But it's creating coherence and it's helping cohesion in the group. This one is easier to practice and it's real fun. It's called geopolitics. This is extremely interesting when you have a company or a structure reorganization, or when you just launch a new project and nobody knows exactly how the pieces will fit in the puzzle. You see what I mean? Who is doing what? What is exactly the responsibility without the boundaries, without the limits, and so on and so forth. Okay? We have that a lot in our life, in our companies. Okay? Sometimes we have these projects or teams, and we do believe that they are doing that, but actually they're not. Or they don't consider that this is part of their job or responsibility. Have you met that? I did a lot. Okay? So now what we will do is invite those teams or those people. It can be individual, it can be teams, it can be company-wide, it can be project-wide, it can be any kind of size you like. And it's not one size fits all. Okay? And everyone is given a map. And on their map, their own map, all the same, they just indicate a couple of key elements. And these key elements define them. That's a little bit like, well, I don't know Belarus that much, but let's say that Belarus is an oil country and an iron country, and you have a lot of tourists. These are your revenue streams. You're acting like this or that, and so on and so forth. Okay? So what you're going to do is, at the size, with the limits of your team, at the size of your team, or individual, you will define your main resources, your main activities, and your main responsibilities. That's defining you, that's defining your team, that's defining your organization. What are you doing? What are your goals? Okay? And then, in a second step, each and every team that worked individually defining their own objective. That's a little bit like when you're creating a team somewhere, you have motto, you have this team objective, and so on and so forth. Very, very funny management game, okay? That's a little bit like this, but this is in between teams. And once everyone has worked on their own map, they just share the map. And you then see what the streams are and how they can be interconnected. You are an oil resource. Who is buying your oil? Who is getting rich by selling the oil? Who is getting rich in buying the oil? Okay? Who needs you? Who are your stakeholders? Who are giving you the drilling material? Who is selling to you? What are you selling to the others? Okay? That's on a country-based. On a team-based, this is, what are you doing? What is your input? What do you expect for input from the others? And what do you deliver to the next ones? What are your responsibilities? And it might perfectly be that you discover that this team is absolutely not responsible for what you thought it was. It can perfectly be that these guys do not understand that they are somewhat on your map, that they are somewhat linked to you. Does it ring a bell? How do we connect business side, developers, quality, and production? What are the streams? We, testers, have defects. We are so proud of our defects. Where do they go to? Do they go to the developers that fix them? Yes, for sure. Is the business having a peek on these defects? I don't know. Are they reading it? I don't know. And if yes, where is it discussed? What is the impact? What about production? Are they interested in these defects as well, or don't they care? It might be that they don't care, and it might be that they are right. That's okay. But how do we interact? It's also about needs and requirements. And when you put everything in common, then you get the whole picture and you see how the whole organization is working. And you see if there are gaps in the processes. It might be that there are streams that are not filled in. It might be that there are gaps. It might be that nobody is taking care of this part. Rings a bell again? This is the key. Moving from here to there is key. Okay? People need to put things in common and understand how they work together. Everyone is working step one individually. So don't put anything in common before. Okay? Just let them work. Figure out what they are and what their input and outputs are, and then put the pieces of the puzzle and see if you can make the picture. Okay? That's about killing perception. That's about learning what the others do. And of course, you need to do something after that as well. So you need to ensure transmission, meaning you need to communicate and recommunicate what the links, boundaries, role, responsibilities are. It has to be clear to everyone, and it has to be reminded from time to time. It has to be transmitted to the new guys, the one who joined the team at a certain moment in time as well. Okay? This one is not that easy. Okay? It's better that you have a clear view on the context and organization if you want to moderate that one. Because you need to understand what it's all about. And you need to eventually spot the missing processes or the missing parts. Okay? Yeah, no communication before I said it. It has to be agreed. Oh, sorry. It has to be agreed. So as a final result, everyone should agree that this is correct. Because if you come in the end of the exercise and you say, well, I stick to my position, this is not my responsibility, blah, 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 then you come back to square one. Okay, so it has to be agreed, and eventually someone has to do something about that. It might be escalated, it might be filled in one way or the other, or somebody can say, well, okay, we're missing a part here, I volunteer to do that missing part. These kind of things. Okay? Material, something like that, you know, a treasure map. You find anything on the internet, as long as this looks like, you know, an island with sea around or something, it's funnier, and then they can put their resources, role, responsibilities, whatever, and then you put the whole map together. In our job, and especially as BAs, we have to envision the future. We have to see how we will manage to come to the final output, to the final delivery. Okay? Whatever it is. It might be how we will progress from where we are today till the end of the project. It might be how our company will evolve from now to 5 years, 10 years. Okay? So again, you set the scope and the technique is applicable. One of the things that is useful here is the magic wand. It also works, by the way, in psychology. So this is something that is used by psychologists, you know, to help their patients sometimes. And the magic wand is, okay, you work upon a problem, and this problem should be not too difficult. This is not, we need to find 10 million euros by the end of the year, otherwise the company goes bankrupt. Okay, that's not the magic wand stuff. It can be magic, but not the kind of magic I'm telling you today. Okay? But a problem that is workable, doable, okay? And they want to get solved, but they don't know. They don't know how. Everyone, in turn, takes the wand. So if you have the possibility, you go to the toy shop, you buy this Harry Potter fake wands, or you go to the magic shop and you buy these things. It makes it more fun, okay? And express the thing he or she would change if he or she were a wizard. And if I were a whiz, I would change, ta-da! Right? It goes in life as well. If I were a whiz, I would, you know, make, I don't know, my little one listening to me more carefully, or whatever, okay? The group, well, by the way, this is not true. She listens very carefully and she's admirable, but whatever. The group chooses their preferred spell among those proposed, and the moderator reformulates the objective and make it reachable, attainable. And Then everyone works on what is needed to build the spell. So you have the magic wand, but you need the spell. You know Harry Potter, Expelliarmus, you need to have the magic world. Okay? But what is the magic world? And how is the wand made? You have a phoenix feather and, I don't know, birch tree or whatever. Okay? What does it mean for your concrete problem? What are the things that are needed, that are required? Is it about people? Is it about resource? Is it about knowledge? Is it about time? Oh, guess what? Sounds familiar. Okay. You're transposed to the context, and you get a step-by-step plan. And the more you stick to the funny game of magic wand and spell, the funnier it is, and the more you come to the problem solving. If it's too complex, it won't work. Again, there's no real magic in the air. It's just a tool or a technique, but make it reachable. Okay? Timing is key. Again, like in any other kind of meeting, respect each other's opinion, blah, 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 blah. And you have a great freedom in this kind. Okay? Again, you should know about the context and organization, otherwise, well, situation will be that you get something that is totally unrealistic and shouldn't be too complex, again. Okay. I love this one. Roses and chrysanthemum. Just because I have to pronounce that word. The aim of the game here is to divide the group into two teams. One will work on the positive side, and the other one will work on the negative side. But negative doesn't mean passive. It means that they will to act negative. Okay? And they are asked to look at the future in, let's say, 3 years ahead. But if you want to change the limit, it doesn't matter much. Okay? The name of the game is to have a project end, to have a concrete result, is to have a projection, a vision of the future, whatever future means to you, and have two teams working on it. One will be positive and will define what is required, what is needed to make it a success. And the other one will work exactly the opposite. They will define what is required to make it a big failure. And it's not by doing nothing, because otherwise you have no input. What can make this project crash? What can make this a big failure? Doesn't it sound like risk analysis or these kind of things? Hey, hey, hey. And that's the name of the game. Okay? In turn, one representative of each team present their vision of the future. And then you compare. Then, of course, you learn all the lessons from that. You know what is required to make it a success. You know what is risky and will put the project or the future at stake. And then, of course, you draw your plan based upon that. And you make sure that it is a success in the end of the game. Okay? So, yeah, okay. Actions must be realistic. Okay, so it has to be serious, it has to be realistic. It's not what we need is 1,000 people working on it straight right now, or 10 million euros coming from the sky, and no, this is not it. That's really, well, that's serious. That's a game, but this is a serious game. Okay. Of course, what you have to avoid is prejudice and bias. So the moderator, again, is key and has to, tune a little bit, and you work with one team and then with the other one. In turn. Again, moderators should know about the context and organization. You can play, well, again, you can make it a nice game. You have these kind of, black pen and rose pen. You can have these little stickers like it is a rose and this is a skull or something, or a chrysanthemum, whatever. Okay? So you can how to say that, build the context. And the more you build the context, the more people are out of the serious part, and the more people are willing to play and are willing to play seriously. You know, I have another one that I'm not going to present right now, and that's about metrics. How do you build a perfect set of metrics? And I'm using a pizza workshop. So I make people work on a pizza. What is towards you the perfect pizza? How can you build or bake the perfect pizza? And how will you measure that this is the perfect pizza? And then people start to think, yeah, pizza means, you know, the dough, you have the crust, you have the way it is cooked, you have the tomato sauce, you have the meat, you have blah, 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 blah. All these kind of things. And actually they're just taking a couple of elements. And how do you measure? How do you measure that the tomato sauce is the perfect one? Oh, it should be thick, it should be... And then they build in their head the composition of metrics. What is metrics all about? And how does it work? And then you transpose to real metrics. Can be bug metrics, can be project progress metrics, whatever. Okay. Where am I with the time? I'm still okay. Good. Okay. This is another vision, Stairway to Heaven. Here is something that you can play in different ways. You can start at the bottom of the stairway, or you can start in the middle of the stairway. Okay? Both give you different information. If you're starting at the bottom, you will have to envision each and every step to go to heaven, to reach the goal, because heaven is the goal. Whatever it is, project end, company transformation, build product, whatever. Okay? If you're in the middle of the stairs, you will help the team envision the progress that is already made from the beginning, where they are, and what is next to reach the goal. So you see the difference? If you're starting at the bottom of the stairs, this is, I'm starting the project and I'm envisioning the future step by step and what is necessary to go to heaven. If I'm in the middle, I already made some track, I already made some steps, already climbed a couple of stairs, and this is helping me envision what I already done and what is next to be done to reach the goal. Okay, so you have, that's applying to a little bit different situation, if you get what I mean. Okay, and then you put 12 steps. These are the next 12 steps to reach the end, to go to heaven. If you don't want 12, you can put another figure, okay? I don't mind, I won't blame you. 12 is a nice number. 42 is the answer to everything, but the problem with 42, it's a lot. Okay? 3 might be a little bit rush. That's not even agility, that's, okay, next one. Okay? You can either animate a discussion, you can do that in group, or you can do that on everyone. So you have 4 possibilities with this exercise, and they're measuring 4 different stuff. If you're working with group, you're working on a project, you're working on a team. If you're working with individuals, then you're working on career paths and you're working on how the people feel and project into the team or the company. So the individual is more managerial kind, okay, kind of HR. The rest is more project oriented. So I don't know if there are people manager in here, but okay, you can tune. And again, so people or group, and again variation, we start in the middle or we start at the bottom. I can perfectly describe my career, okay? I'm in the middle of my existence, 50, so I will die 100, no way. Okay, I'm in the middle of my career or my life. Okay, I've been starting as a chemical engineer somewhere, or a small child somewhere, okay? Now I'm speaking to you in an international conference in Belarus, and next week I'll be in South Africa. And then after South Africa, I will be back in France, and after France I will die. No, not too soon, okay? So that's me. But I can tell you about my project. I can tell you about my company. My company started 10 years ago. Well, the company I'm leading in France, my company started 10 years ago, and from 10 years ago, we were 3 of us, and now we are 30 of us. And in the next 2 or 3 years, we'll be 100 of us. This is my goal. Well, not really, that's not a goal in itself, but I can envision that. And what do I need? Well, I will need to have a recruitment team in there. I will have to have HR stuff posted. I will have to have bigger place because I cannot accommodate 100 people where I am today, and so on and so forth. And you can, of course, I'll tell you right now, you can, of course, combine these different workshops. Okay, you have the Stairway to Heaven, but you can combine with chrysanthemums and roses. What are the risks? What if people leave? What if the market collapses? What if testing is no more part of the picture? What if you die before you can realize you go? These kind of things. Okay? Every step is then discussed, and if you're working with a group as a team, you reconciliate all the steps. So if you ask people individually what they think about a project, you can do that as well. Okay? And then you gather the whole stuff and you set the objective for the whole group. Again, for people manager, you ask everyone in your team how they envision their future, how they project in the future, which is fine because you're not often asked. As an employee, you're not often asked, where do you see yourself in the future? Maybe some HR interviews you have that. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Well, I will be sitting at your desk and you will be out, or something like that, you know, classic answer. Or I will be out, I will be working for a serious company, but hire me now. Well, okay, whatever. But what is important is that when people are asked, they have to understand that they're working for a group, for a company. So that at a certain moment in time, their personal objective should match with the company's objective, that they should be aligned. And if they're aligned, that's perfect, because everyone can move forward, and the project and the company can move forward as well. Okay, so that I said. Has to be realistic, of course. Reconciliation, again, pay attention to the bias. It's not that difficult. All you need is a nice drawing like this, and you start here or you start there. Never mind. You should know about the context and organization if you want to moderate. And again, but this is something we're used to as BAs, reformulating, rephrasing, these kind of things so as to avoid all kind of, you know, unsaid stuff, biases, and so on and so forth. Okay? Okie-do. Did I forget to say something on there? No. That's fine. Now, this is the fun part. Okay? That's about cohesion, you know, this team spirit stuff. We're all crawling in the mud. We're all doing a kind of soldiers camp or something. Well, I hate that. So I have funnier games. You know, break an egg. The aim of the game here is to create, in a funny way, a cohesion in the group. So having people working together on something that is not work, on something that is not impacting them really in real life. But still they have to work together, they have to collaborate. And it's a lot of fun. Well, except for the cleaning lady for this one, okay? The name of the game is Break an Egg. Okay? You divide the group in sub-teams, 3 to 5 people. And each team is given 1 raw egg. And a pack of straws, plastic. And 2 meters of string. And the goal is that the egg must be able to sustain a fall of several meters, let's say 1 floor. So you imagine I just organized the game right now. I have the egg in my pocket. You just wrap the egg into the strings or whatever, and then you go on the balcony and you drop. And if someone there at the desk is, you know, full of egg, sorry, you failed. Okay? It's kind of fun. Why are you laughing? It will work. It will not break. So, the team has to design their own solution, and it's not that easy. It's not that easy. You can wrap it in a certain way. You can, do whatever you like. Okay, there are hundreds of possibilities, and I will present the other one, and I'm sure that you heard about this one, but I used it because I think it's a good one. What is important here is not the solution. As a moderator, as a manager, as a team leader, I don't care what the solution is there, and I don't even care if they fail or succeed. The cleaning lady does. The people that are, you know, full of eggs as well, but I don't. What is important to me is how the group interact, how people are working together. And this is what I will debrief with them later. Okay? You see who is showing off. You see who is taking the lead. You see, and it's not always for the best. Because you have leaders that have shitty ideas. And you have, you know, people that are a little bit shy and stay there, and they will bring probably the perfect solution. Or not. Okay? But what is important is to see the group interaction and eventually work upon that later. Okay? So that's about workshop organization management. That's about the capability to capture interaction and dynamics. This is what you need. It would be easier if you had this kind of, you know, tape or whatever, but you don't give that. You just give throw, making it a little bit more difficult, right? And you have to communicate group success failures, but in a diplomatic way. The name of the game is not having anyone losing his face, you know? The name of the game is to improve. That's like the team spirit. It doesn't matter if you can crawl till the end. And there's no shame in not being able to, I don't know, cross the monkey bridge or whatever, because you just can't do that. Maybe you can go over it and you can do it, maybe not. But it doesn't tell anything about how capable or how good you are. It's not you, it's just your capability to do certain things. And this is why I hate this kind of team spirit, because, or team events, because, well, I'm sorry, I used to be a soldier, but I'm not anymore, and I'm not fit for the job anymore. So what does it tell on me if I'm not able to crawl for 300 meters on, I don't know, broken glass or something? Not much. Okay? But my willingness not to do it will tell something about me, and that's different. I don't know if I added, I think that I didn't add this one in this presentation, but you probably heard about the spaghetti incident, no? This spaghetti contest. Have you heard of that? You find it on the internet. That was done on a TED conference. You heard about TED conferences? Yeah? Okay, that's one of the big TED conferences. It was kind of fun. They are given, I think it's 20 spaghetti, a big marshmallow, okay, and a couple of strings or tape or I don't know what. Just read the rules of the game, and the name of the game is to make the highest possible construction with the marshmallow on top that is sustainable, that doesn't break. And they have to do that. And there are hundreds of ways to think about that. And usually the best are engineers, because they bring some kind of self-sustainable structure and it works. But what is interesting is the interaction between people and what sort of solution they come with. And there are cheaters that eat the marshmallow or... Okay, it's good, but it's not allowed. Okay. This one is also a classic. This is something that you do when you're starting. You can do that on a project. Starting the project, you can do that with a team. If you're leading a team, that's perfect. You build a coat of arms. And the coat of arms, that's a little bit what you've done with the treasure map, if you remember, geopolitics. Okay? You define values, beliefs, goals, tasks, and eventually a motto. Not a motto, eh? A motto. Me, myself, and I. My motto is, they made it, we break it. No, that's not my motto. That is Tester's motto. My motto is, if you can't do it fine at the first time, will you have time doing fine the second? Okay, project team is invited to fill their own coat of arms. Yes, I will be far in advance. No problem, there will be time for questions. From their historical experience, how they project in the future, and so on and so forth. Okay? Individually, you can work on questions like, what are my best or worst moments as an employee, as a member of this project? Okay? That is a way to structure. As a team, what are the team's best and worst moment? The worst moment ever was when the boss came in and we were all partying because we were happy about the release. Okay? That's the worst moment ever. People can be creative. The name of the game is to build final coat of arm and motto and share. Okay? If you have a little bit of budget, you can even build the stuff nice, get it printed and so on and so forth, and affix it to the wall. This is the tester's team, and the motto is the goals there are values, responsibility. So each quadrant have interesting value, and everyone passing by sees, okay, this is me, this is what I'm doing, this is my responsibility, this is what I deliver, and this is what I believe. And this is valid for different teams. So it brings a certain awareness, and it's always fine when you have new guys coming, because they understand what the team is doing. You would be amazed, and I'm pretty sure that you know that, you would be amazed to know how much people don't know what the others are doing in the same company. It's unbelievable. I'm doing this all the time in audit. You know, when I have an audit and I discuss with people, what are you doing, la 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 la, okay, and who should be responsible? That team, okay, fine. And I go to that team and, no, absolutely not, this is not me, this is somebody else. Oh, okay, but they believe that's you. No, it's not me. Okay, who is it then? And you move along. So this helps understand. And it will ease your project, for sure. Pretty easy, okay? You should know a little bit about context, organization. If it's your project, that's even better. What you have to do is to make sure that you can transform facts into concepts, because you become a little bit more conceptual. Rephrasing, putting positive value. Here we produce all the shit in the world, or we get all the shit in the world. Okay, we are problem solvers. That's a little bit different, right? Not too many. Try to prioritize, get the keywords, really, okay? Allow everyone to discuss. That's very important. Everyone should express, okay? And that's about it. These are some references. So that's the TED conference. That's about the spaghetti incident that I didn't display here. That's the marshmallow challenge, by the way. You have the full set of rules, but I haven't had the time to do all stuff. If you need to negotiate, this is not. I have a full day tutorial on this one. So that's I can talk more about this. So I use a lot of reference. This one, unfortunately, is in French. It's extremely well done, and there are even more that are described. So if you can read French, you will find some adaptations of this one, or, well, I adapted from this one to be fairer. This one is also very classic on negotiation techniques. So if you need to negotiate and have principled negotiation, getting to yes is quite fine. And it has nothing to do with IT, which I like most, because then you can, take some distance and then apply to your own liking. And that's about it. I hope that you enjoyed the show and that it was interesting to you. Question time now. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dima, and my English is not good, sorry.
My Russian is worse, so no problem.
I'm not an analyst, I'm a product owner in the mobile team, and I have several questions to the first part of your speech.
Okay.
First of all, you said about 50, and can age be a problem in understanding in team? I explained I'm 28, and very often I don't understand the youngest part of my team, who is only 20 maybe.
Okay.
And I have 5 questions.
I hope I have 5 answers.
The second question is about choosing for users in cases like you speak about Dropbox. In real life, if we give users chance to use different variants, it's very difficult to support it. And in several times, it can be very expensive.
I understand. Maybe I can already answer that one, okay? I what you mean, and I do agree to some extent. The problem is, and that was my introduction at a certain moment in time, I said we are now designing products, and especially mobile products, we are designing products for everyone. We can't please everyone, so we have to set up priorities at a certain moment in time, and I'm sure that this is what Dropbox did. They set up priorities, but what we need to understand is that sometimes the priority we set up are frustrating a lot of users. And it all depends what a lot means. If a lot means Olivier Denoo, do it, fine.
Design is difficult for users every time.
Yeah, but this is why you have to use usability. This is what you need to ask users. This is what you have A/B testing. This is what you have. There are ways to do that. There are ways to handle that. Let me give you an example about usability, which is one of my topic of interest, and I will divert a little bit. There was a company at a certain moment in time, and they thought they had a wonderful idea. Okay, they were mixing Meetic. You know Meetic, so that's a dating kind of site where you can meet the girl or guy, whatever you're, whatever. And they were mixing this with Facebook and LinkedIn. So they had an application that was doing a little bit of all. And I said, it's brilliant, but our web page is not such appealing, so can you do something about that? And the first question that they asked was, is it a good idea? More than 90% of the people said, no, it is not a good idea, and I will never use a service like that. I personally will never use a service like that. Facebook, well, I use social media as kind of business kind of tool for me. Me personally, I use that as business tool, whatever, whether it is Facebook or LinkedIn. But Facebook is a mix of business and friends, sorry. LinkedIn is fully business. And Meetic is my private life. Why the hell should I tell my friends, family, relative that I'm looking for a nice Belarusian girl or whatever? I mean, it's nothing, it's crazy. Nobody would use that.
But you know, Booking.com is the biggest team, product team, and in different countries we use different design.
Sure, sure.
Very difficult.
I'm not saying that this is easy, but our life is not easy, is it?
We are not a booking. We haven't got such money.
What do you want me to say? Stop! Well, we can take other questions offline if you want to.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
I'd like to hear some tips in the situation. How can we organize the game if one part of the team is in Minsk, the other in Rotterdam, another in Den Bosch, and maybe you have experience in organizing such games. Because, for example, I can be present in the Minsk office, but I won't go to Poland right now. And what about the time? Any tips for such situation? For Treasure Island, for example.
Okay. Oh, interesting question. I haven't thought of that one, but yes, we are mobile, and yes, we are spread all over the world now. There are several ways. There are cheap ways, there are expensive ways. The expensive way is bring people together, do a big team event, meet up, make a big party, la la la, and that's fine. But I guess that you don't have that kind of budget, right? So maybe another way to solve it, which is a little bit cheaper, is that one person moves, the moderator moves from team to team. Because anyway, you have to collaborate with these people. It's always better to have somebody inside, somebody, you know, real interaction with, you know, this kind of human contact. So you just move from one team to the other, you do the exercise, and then you use all kind of modern capabilities, communication capabilities we have, like Trello, this kind of stuff, where you can share the know-how between the teams all over the world. Now, if you don't even have the budget to go to Rotterdam, whatever, you should, because it's a nice city. I'll tell you about a nice restaurant there, whatever. Never mind. Well, if you don't even have that sort of budget, then of course you can use this kind of virtual session. But then you're losing more and more the human track, and you're coming more and more to the technical track. And then you lose part of the game. And people don't behave the same if they are just, you know, facing a camera, like me, for instance, I'm just showing off. Or if they are just interacting with you at a coffee machine or something. So there's always that kind of distance. And that's also the technological problem, which is, well, these things work sometimes and sometimes less. No, you can't do that. And especially, well, this example you took about a map, it's probably one of the easiest to organize that way. But if you have to do something like I Can Dance or something like that, it's really difficult. And if you have to deal with group interaction and check who is doing what, like the marshmallow contest or the break-a-neck contest, no, you're just losing it. No.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My name is Elena. Thank you very much for informative presentation.
Thanks.
I'm working with some developers who are very skeptic about all these games, all this fun stuff. And have you ever met any situations when you want to organize a game or something like this, or training, and members of your team said, "Oh, what is that about? I'm not going to participate in that." How can you deal with this?
That's another difficult question, of course. Yes, it happens. It happens. There are different ways to deal with that. You have the software, you have the hardware. The hardware doesn't work. That's forcing people to do it. You know, you will go to the team event and you will crawl in the mud, and yeah, but I don't want to crawl in the mud, so I'll be ill. You see? So it doesn't work. So maybe one of the best way is to convince them step by step and do something that is easy. If they don't like the game, just don't tell them that this is a game, and just start small. For instance, if you go to roses and chrysanthemums, you can have stickers, you can have all these kind of big, you know, props and so on and so forth, and you can make it real fun. But it's not important. It is important because it gives the exercise fun. People want to do that. If your people are very reluctant to these kind of approaches, well, first of all, it tells you about your people, meaning that they're not funny people, and probably they're not funny, not because they don't have funny bones, but probably because they don't feel like funny. And there's already something to dig in, let's say. But what I was saying was, you can start small, and you can just say, okay, these are not roses, these are not chrysanthemums, but we will work on objectives. What are the steps to reach the objectives, and what are the risks? And then you speak about something that is concrete. You get the same result, more or less, but at least you tried. And then you say, okay, can't we make this a little bit funnier? Just in the middle, people start identifying risk. And okay, let's do this a little bit funnier, and let's split into 2 teams, and you will work on the risk, and you will work on the objectives, and let's call you roses, let's go. And then, you know, you engage them step by step in the game, and next time maybe they will be less reluctant. And if they don't know, don't tell. Well, first of all, I knew because Vlad told me that I was going to receive something and be granted for something because my presentation was good in Moscow, apparently, so they liked it. I don't know if it's good or not, but they liked it. So, okay, I didn't know what it was, so I was, yeah, that's a surprise. I didn't know. I didn't even know whether, if I had to say something or what. You know, I'm in a game. And maybe this is a way to engage if people are reluctant. And not everything is easy. Eh? I told you already that sort of trick with I can dance. You know, if you tell people I can dance, I hate dancing. I don't feel, I'm not a good dancer. I can't dance, and I don't want to dance because, well, I feel stupid when I'm on, you know, just like that. But if you tell people, dancing is not necessarily, you know, doing tango just in the middle of the stage. Just walk. And then you come to the Monty Python, you know, walking in a silly way and these kind of things. This is already dancing. And then people are, you know, relieved. Oh, I don't need to show off in a twist contest. I'm not John Travolta and la la la. I will just walk and that will be fine. Because the name of the game is follow me. The name of the game is create a link. That's maybe a way to engage. You're welcome. У нас организован баркам, сверху за секции, там можно встретиться с заказчиком и продолжить общение. You can go to the barcam after section C and continue discussion. Sure. Thank you.